Katelyn.
Oh, hey, Jeff.
Psychologically, they say if you are wearing earbuds, people can't hear you.
I did not know that was possible.
Absolutely. So, I only have one question for you, and I was gonna say what you reading, but it's like what you listening to.
That is right, because right now I'm listening through our Libby app. I'm listening to The Five by Hallie Rubenhold. This book is a true crime historical novel or historical book about the canonical 5 of women who Jack the Ripper murdered. Their names are, I'm so sorry, Polly Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Kate Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. And I don't know about you, but I've always kind of been interested in true crime, and I like reading true crime stories. I like listening to podcasts. So when this came out, I just kind of devoured it. I didn't realize, so I've done my own reading into the Jack the Ripper case, and I assumed the lives of these women were well researched and mostly accurate. And after reading this book, I realized none of that is true. Shocker, right? There had been very little research into the women's lives before they were tragically murdered. And this book really spends time with each one of them. And the biggest reveal in the book is the fact that out of all 5, only 2 of them actually have any history in sex work. So the myth around them has always been that they were sex workers who were killed because they had taken a client back, and that's where Jack the Ripper murdered them, right? However, she's saying the evidence you look at, that's not necessarily the case. And she's an historian, whereas a lot of the Jack the Ripper books are more about, from a true crime aficionado bent, and not necessarily from someone who has been trained in historical research like Hallie Rubenhold has been trained in. And actually her speciality is sex workers in the 1800s, in the 17th century, and well, actually I take that back, in the 18th century and the 19th century. And so that's why she was kind of the perfect historian to take this on. I think it highlights a lot of issues that women during this time period had to deal with. They didn't have any way to earn money for themselves or earn a living, and it deals with addiction and houselessness from this addiction, and it's a really great read, if heavy, but good.
Excellent. Okay. Does the author herself, is she the narrator?
She is not the narrator for this one, no. Someone with an Irish accent is. I forgot the narrator's name. Sorry.
Is it relatively recent?
It's from 2019, okay. So it's not super recent, but soon enough. And actually, Hallie Rubenhold has completed a podcast on Pushkin Network, which is Malcolm Gladwell's podcasting network.
Oh, very good. Okay.
And it's like an 8 to 10 part series. And gotcha. In it, she begins with the backlash that she's received from publishing this book. So I think listening or reading the book first and then listening to the podcast is a great way to get like a nice open viewpoint of everything that goes on, because they do interview some of her detractors who talk about how they might not agree with her research, but
we can link to that podcast in the show notes, so we will do that.
That sounds great.
That's the way to do it. Awesome. Well, I will let you stick those things back in your ear.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
I think Ray Bradbury in Fahrenheit 451 called them snail shells.
I will say, when you listen to a book, it activates the same parts of your brain as if you were reading it. So I would never, ever be one to call listening to a book not reading. Because
you heard it from the Librarian, folks. All right. We will see you again soon.
See you later.
Take care.